Welcome back to FineScale Modeler Weekly. I'm Tim Kidwell.
And I'm Kendra Bell. We have a packed show, so let's get to it with the new Tamiya 1/24th scale 1978 Ford Zakspeed Capri Turbo.
Debuting at Hockenheim in the summer of 1978, the Zakspeed Capri Turbo was powered by a Ford Cosworth 375 horsepower engine, wore a super light fiberglass reinforced plastic body, and was decorated in stunning black, red, and yellow livery.
Driver Hans Heyer retired in that first race with engine trouble, but the car went on to win first at Nürburgring that year and won at Hockenheim in 1979.
Tamiya's kit was first released in 1979 and has seen a few repops since. This iteration replicates that first MAP-sponsored car driven by Heyer. The body is molded in black and recreates the race car's low, wide profile. The hood vents and grille are molded open, but you'd have to open up the ones on the fenders and rear end. There are slight sink marks on the sides just behind the vents that you'll want to smooth out.
It is a curbside model and displays an oil pan on the single-part chassis, separate transmission and drive shaft, and somewhat simplified front suspension that allows for posable wheels.
Speaking of wheels, the nicely chromed parts fit inside lush, soft vinyl tires and attach to the car with polycaps and rivets up front, and polycaps and a solid axle in back. Decals will decorate the sloped wheel covers inserted into the wheels.
Inside, you'll find separate parts for the seat, door panels, roll bar, steering wheel, and instrument panels. There's also a full driver figure in 5 parts. Clear parts provide all the windows and taillights. The headlights are chrome.
A new Cartograph decal sheet reproduces the flashy red and yellow MAP livery for the body and wheel inserts. Tamiya also provides Goodyear decals for the tires. There are color callouts throughout the instructions, and a black and white marking guide rounds things out.
A lot of modelers are interested in the history of vehicles, but I think an interesting or exciting appearance can be just as important. For some people, maybe more.
I really like that insight. This reissue looks cool, has a neat backstory, and fills a hole in Zakspeed history, so I think it can be a hit, whatever your fancy.
Tim, we're car heavy this week. Is there a reason for that?
What can I say? There's been a lot coming in, like the AMT 1/25th scale Batmobile from the 1989 movie. This kit first dropped in 2015 as an all-new, and in 2018, Round 2 released it with a resin Batman figure posed standing outside of the car.
This time around, there is a newly tooled Dark Knight figure driving what is perhaps the sexiest version of the Batmobile to grace the screen.
Yes, I've been a critic of the figures that have accompanied Round 2 kits in the past, and the company seems to be upping its game. The new Batman looks great, coming in 5 parts. Its armor appears well detailed, and it's engineered so cleanup will be along natural lines, and the cloak to make hiding seams easier.
For those who may not be familiar with the rest of the kit, the interior builds up from a central tub with separate seats, dash, and controls. Halves make up the bulk of the engine with a few additional detail parts.
The large swoopy body fits onto a single-part chassis. Rubber tires fit around multi-part wheels that connect to axle pins up front and a single metal axle in back. Clear and transparent red parts provide the window and lights.
The kit doesn't come with decals, though some for the dash would be a nice addition.
No decals, but there are generic color callouts throughout the instructions to help you detail paint what I would consider an iconic superhero vehicle. So let's leave the car kits for a bit and we'll look at some books.
This time we have 3 volumes from Hellions Europe at War series. Numbers 50 and 52, War in Ukraine, Volume 8, The Battle of Kyiv, February to April 2022, and Volume 9, Soviet Designated Artillery Systems, 2014 to 2024, and number 51, Curtiss Kittyhawks in the Soviet Far North, 1941 to 45.
Let's start there. Andrei Latkin explores the Kittyhawks' use as a fighter-bomber, recon aircraft, and close support platform from the middle to the end of World War II. The 62-page book traces the history of the aircraft during offensives in Norway and Finland, explores key missions, and reveals rare photographs, including aerial reconnaissance images. Andrei Jurgensen provided color and black and white profiles of the P-40.
War in Ukraine Volume 8 by Joseph Mathers examines the Russian push in early 2022 to take Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Picking up with the heliborne assault on Hostomel Airport, carrying readers through the retreat of Ukrainian forces and the subsequent counteroffensive that led to a chaotic Russian retreat in 85 pages. Packed with photos, full-color illustrations, and maps, you'll also find 27 color profiles of soldiers and vehicles.
And War in Ukraine Volume 9 by Wenjiang Zheng reveals the Soviet legacy artillery systems deployed in Ukraine from 2014 to 2024. 72 pages are packed with color and black and white photos of artillery guns and loads of explication regarding their histories and uses in contemporary times. The photographic references would be reason enough to own this book, but it also includes 18 color profiles by David Buck-Willett.
Ukrainian manufacturer Xscale has released a 1/144th scale ATR 42300. Built by the French-Italian firm ATR, the ATR 42300 became a widely used turboprop regional airliner and was manufactured until 1996.
Powered by a pair of Pratt & Whitney Canada PW120s, it saw service around the world, including North America, Cuba, Europe, and Japan.
Xscale's kit contains 5 gray sprues and 1 clear for all the parts. The flight deck includes seats, yoke, console, and instrument panel, but there are no passenger seats to fill the fuselage halves.
The wings come in 3 parts and exhibit good detail, but take particular care when cleaning up the fine trailing edge where there is the slightest bit of flash.
You can choose to use props already molded or build them up from 2 parts before adding a spinner and back. The nacelles come in halves and mount on the wings.
The kit provides landing gear bay details, and the doors are molded only for wheels down. The main gears build up from 8 parts each, plenty at this small scale.
A clear part handles the cockpit roof and windows, and die-cut masks help ease painting the front end. Decals provide markings for an American Eagle aircraft operating out of Chicago O'Hare International Airport in 1996. The instructions have a color placement guide and color table for Mr. Hobby, Tamiya, ICM, and Hataka paints.
Look for reviews of the Zakspeed Capri Turbo and ATR 42300 in future issues of FineScale Modeler magazine.
And make sure to visit FineScale.com, where you'll also find downloadable PDFs, articles, and videos with loads of scale modeling advice.
I don't think we've talked about airbrush needle caps, the differences, and why they're actually there. It's one of these little pieces on an airbrush that might seem extra, esoteric, but in any case, on this Grex Genesis, you can see here, this is a standard needle cap. It looks like a little cup that's on the end of the airbrush. And what it really is there for is to keep you from damaging the needle. It stops you from smacking the needle, hooking it, doing anything bad to it. And you can swap these out. There's a different kind of needle cap that you can get that's called a crown cap. As you can see, the shape is different. It's open on the sides. And what that allows you to do is actually get closer to your model when you're doing detail airbrushing. In addition to the crown cap, Grex also produces something that they call the clear sight cap. What this clear sight cap does is rounds the end of the airbrush down so you can actually see the needle and be cognizant of how far away from the model you are. Let's head over to the spray booth and I'll show you how each of these needle caps works. I'm just using some Tamiya bright red lacquer, thinned a little bit with Tamiya lacquer thinner. So again, that standard needle cap, it is keeping you from having your needle touch the model. Not that you're going to do that, but okay, so this is at a reasonable distance. And then if you were going to get in and do some finer work, there comes a point where this needle cap is going to cause some back pressure. And you can see right there, I'm starting to cause some spidering. So there's only so close you can get with that before that needle cap is gonna, you're gonna cause vortexes down in there that you can't necessarily see, but you're going to be able to see what they're doing. You're going to be able to see the effect on your model. So to help with getting closer to your model, let's switch over to a crown cap. So you can see that there's a difference in how close you can get and still maintain a really nice line. And that was not something that we were able to maintain with the standard cap. So much nicer lines close. So if you're going to do some detail work, that's going to be very helpful. The other option that Greg has produced is this clear sight cap, but it's going to replace this entire end piece. And now you can see that you have clear sight of your needle. Now, this is not going to protect your needle from getting too close to the model. But what it is going to allow you to do is get as close as possible to do your finest detail work. So those are the basics behind airbrush needle caps. Your standard, your crown, and then this new clear sight one that Grex has. Of course, there are going to be other variables, including air pressure, the viscosity of your paint, the kind of paint that you're using, but those are the basic ideas behind how those needle caps can affect your airbrushing. Well, you'll remember back in the first episode for season 5, I said that we were going to be working on a couple of things that we hadn't done before. Well, today's the day that we're giving one of those things our first try. Today, we're going to be joined by Fred Medel, marketing manager from Tamiya America, and he's going to talk us through a couple of new kits that have either hit or are just about to hit market. So, everybody, welcome, Fred Medel.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Hey, Fred, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Excellent. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about 2 new releases. One has just been shipped to dealers, and one is about to be shipped to dealers. So the first item is a tried and true favorite amongst World War II history buffs, and that is the Schwimmwagen Type 166, and this version is the wide wheel version. So I did not know this until this product was announced that, oh, there was a different variant. It's like, well, what's the different variant about? And apparently there was one that had wider wheels. So for, car buffs, who are into the whole, car culture scene, I guess this would have been a precursor to, oh, this car's got stance. So there's
military stance.
Yeah, military stance. So no, I mean, most of this kit is primarily the same tooling as the previous Schwimmwagen and the current Schwimmwagen that we do make, except it has a wider wheel stance and the wheels themselves are wider. What's cool about this kit is, unlike the other kits that use, let's say, rubber tires, the tires are not made out of rubber. They're actually made out of separate pieces of plastic to make the rubber tire.
So like the profile of the tire.
The entire tire.
So that's the major change from the original box.
That's pretty much it. The wide wheels, the 2 new figures, and maybe a couple extra little tool parts. That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
When you see the 2 kits, we have images of the 2 kits side by side. And it's when you see them side by side, you really go, "Oh, wow, that is different," So
right,
yeah.
If anyone out there is watching and you know why the wider tires were used, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. So
what's the other kit?
The other kit, it's interesting. This is the new Honda CB 1000F. It's basically a touring bike. This is the first motorcycle model we've made in many, many, many years that doesn't have like a flaring to cover the engine, because most of the motorcycles we've made are either like super bikes or MotoGP bikes. So
when we're talking about fairings, just for anybody who's not a motorcycle fan, what are we talking about?
Basically, the fairings is basically a big piece of either carbon fiber or plastic fiberglass that basically covers the engine compartment for aerodynamics.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so this one doesn't have that, and this then shows off the entire engine.
Yes, it shows it off the entire engine. So I've built a lot of the motorcycle models in the past, and our motorcycle models are really cool in the fact that there's such engine detail that when you're done and you're putting the fairings over it, you're like, well, all that work's being hit.
Why did I do all this work?
Right. So, with this bike, you get all the really cool details of the Honda engine, except, because it's a touring bike, you don't have to worry about covering it because there's no fairings. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is a completely new tool?
All brand new tooling. This is all new tooling.
Oh my gosh. At what scale?
1/12.
1/12.
Yeah.
Completely new completely new tool at 1/12 scale.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very nice. So when we're looking at it, then is there a lot of chrome parts, or is it?
There are no chrome parts. They actually, except for the headlight and part of the exhaust coming chrome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One of the things that Tamiya has really, in the last couple of years, has really come on with is Tamiya's engineering with clear parts, and how the clear parts are being seated into the kits, so that you don't really even need to use glue to get a really nice fit, and so there's no chance of fogging or crazing the parts. So is that is that what's being used here with the clear parts?
Yeah, it's similar train of thought is what you just described. So I personally use like a craft bond glue to glue clear parts, because if you make a mistake,
like Eileen's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very cool. So what else would be really interesting about this kit then?
So anybody who's built our motorcycle kits in the past know that a lot of the chassis gets screwed together. So you build the engine, and then you have the main chassis components go together, and you use screws to lock it in place. Well, those screws would be visible in the past. Tamiya's now engineered it in such a way that they come with these little, what's the word I'm going to try to use? Plugs that go into that little spot where the screw goes through, and you plug it and it hides it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, with all the detail that would go into the bikes, that's probably the one thing where people would say, well, these screws weren't actually there, or they weren't this size or whatever. But that's a very cool engineering workaround for that.
Yeah. It's just a little, clever plug that just goes boop, and it's done.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see that actually in operation, in work on a review model. That's the one
great. Here is going to you guys.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, now everybody knows, and I have to make sure that I get one of our reviewers on it right away as soon as it shows up. Well, very good. So that's 2 new kits from Tamiya. One just started shipping, the Schwimmwagen, and then the Honda is getting ready to ship to retailers in the very near future. Very good. Well, man, what else? Can you give us a kind of a preview of other things that we might see?
Well, actually, we are working on, as you guys know, we produce a lot of paints and finishing materials. We have acrylics. We have the new LP paints, the lacquer paints. We have the TS paints, which are the spray paints, the primers, and we make polycarbonate paints for car kits. We are working on finally importing the enamel paints that Tamiya has made forever. Yeah, so we are working on that. It's a long process, before dealers start seeing this video or retailers start seeing this video. Is that we don't know exactly when this is going to launch. We are working to try to make an official announcement sometime soon, but it's something that we've been working on for the last couple of years. So we are working to try to get that enamel paint out there.
Well, you heard it here first.
Hopefully this year. Hopefully this year. But no promises. No promises.
No promises.
No promises.
But
Release window.
Tamiya is looking to bring its enamel line to the U.S. market. So that's really great news. That completes the trifecta. Then you got the lacquers, got the acrylics, and then have the enamels. Is it going to be just the bottles or spray paint too?
Just the bottles.
Just the bottles.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Fred, thank you so much for joining us on our first virtual booth tour. The whole idea here was to give those people at home, a chance to see what's coming from Tamiya, what's new that's coming from Tamiya that, they might not be able to see otherwise because they aren't able to get to a show. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was really a lot of fun to do this with you guys. And hopefully we get to do this again. And next time we'll maybe share our studio with some of the built-ups of some of these new products.
That would be excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And thank you all for joining us for this episode of FineScale Modeler Weekly. We'll see you next time.